Ozzie Jurok. Easy for me to say Ozzie like I just met you. Ozzie Jurok joins me on the line right now. Again, so many things to talk about here. Ozzie, I mean, where do we start? Well, actually, you know what? I want to start again with a hot property. That's my thing, as you know.
Well, one of the places I really like is on Vancouver Island. It's Qualicum Beach. It's sort of a quaint little city that located on the ocean. And we found a really nice 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom rancho on a very large lot. It has RV parking, and it's on for $320,000.
Wow, that is a gorgeous area, by the way, and you get sunny weather like they have up there today. Holy smokes! Hey, look, I want to talk to you about something. Obviously, real estate's become one of those hot topics, and that means we got all sorts of emotion and not much good sense. But one of the things you talked to us about 3 weeks ago was, you know what, some people might want to consider taking advantage of some of these high real estate prices. And then I start reading that, you know what, some of the high end has started to stall in some of the big winners over the last couple of years.
Yeah, no question. I mean, I hate people that always forecast the market is collapsing, the market. But it is some really big, knowledgeable voices that are talking about facts, which are the fact of the upscale, the upper real estate market. Dan Kahn, who's the chief executive of Christie's International Real Estate, says he calls it the return of realism. So from San Francisco to Singapore, he says the average luxury home prices are down. He says Miami is down 14%, Boston area, Brahmins fell some 12%, San Francisco, tech gurus, he says, saw the average luxury home price dip 5%, and finally in Washington, they're down 4% to only $2 million. So he says also that, in fact, there was a headline that Manhattan, the oversupply and stalling sales means that you get some good deals. One property apparently was for sale for 169 days, and you got a free Lamborghini if you bought it.
There you go. But your point's a very important one. People have a tendency, whatever the trend is, whether it's all the way down or all the way up, they don't see that these things can reverse despite all the historical evidence. And I think one of the things you're going to find with people in Toronto and people in Vancouver is, when is this thing going to reverse? And we could have a whole other discussion of whether that will be good news or not, because it's certainly not going to help their economies, the overall economy. But the bottom line is maybe this is a bit of a, canary in the coal mine.
Well, clearly, usually when properties are on the market longer, banks looking to adjust their approach to lending, construction lending, maybe land prices will be affected. But to me, it's sort of the worldwide experts sort of almost getting together. I mean, here's a huge headline about Hong Kong. We talked about it 6 months ago. The market was changing. And this one talks about that a lot of the mainly from mainland China tycoons have come into the Hong Kong market, and they're now going back because Hong Kong actually imposed some very drastic administrative controls and taxes. I mean, in Hong Kong now, Mike, you have to pay 12%, 15% as a foreigner to buy a house. So if it's $1 million, you actually have to come up immediately with another 15%. That's on top of what they call their stamp duties and other taxes. And so all of a sudden, the market is changing. The tycoons are taking their money maybe elsewhere. Maybe they're coming here. But the point is, question on hot money laundering is now in a headline news in Germany. It's headline news in Australia. It's headline news here. So we have all of these forces combining. And I'm just wondering, we haven't really seen anything reversal here in Vancouver, but we've got to keep our eyes wide open.
Well, the other thing I was looking at is the billion-dollar fund manager coming out of retirement to jump in to make a bet against Canadian real estate.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, again, do we care about one guy? But this guy is the highest profile short seller on Wall Street. And who said it? The New York Times. And he retired on his good fortune that he made in the late 2000s. And he says he's now coming out to bet against the Canadian housing market. He says the country is using housing as an economic generator, and it's going to be an economic killer. He says it's a shelter, and right now it's a speculative purpose. And he mentioned a whole bunch of real estate that he sees are in trouble. But he says you don't realize in Canada that you have a bustling subprime lending industry that he compares to with the subprime lending industry of 2007 in the United States. So, he says that zero regulation, you have hot money laundering, all that makes him short some of our mortgage corporations.
Interesting stuff and a very good warning. But as I started with, very interesting to see a slowdown in several markets. San Francisco would be another one I'd throw into that pile. Obviously, London, as you alluded to us last week, after the Brexit vote, is we're going to be very interested to see what happens on that end of the market. With uncertainty, is certainly going to discourage people from jumping in with major purchases there. So, yeah, it is a very volatile world, and we'll obviously chronicle it more. You got one more hot property for me?
Yeah, and I want to make it very clear. These hot properties will likely not be affected. We were talking about the upper end, the market over 2,
yes.
3, 4 million. But in Nanaimo, for $529,000, you can buy a 3-year-old, almost near new 2,400 square foot home with a legal 2-bedroom suite. And you can also get an ocean home. Like across the street is the ocean, close to the ferry. It's a smaller cottage-type home in Nanaimo for just $299,000.
I like the Nanaimo. I sure do. Ozzie, go out and have a wonderful weekend. I'm sure you're boating. Thank God for the golfers.
Well, actually, I'm wearing my lederhosen and put on my colors, and I'm off to see Germany play Italy. Should be a smashing game.
It certainly should. Have a great weekend. Thanks, Ozzie.
Take care. Bye-bye.